Before Murder Drones Episode 6 overtakes us, it's coming so soon, I need to make good on my promise that I would do a video based on popular request, and you lovely folks wanted me to return to the love triangle between Uzi, N, and V. I've already done a video on the numerous ships in the show, but that was before Episode 5 premiered, before the NV shippers were given a gift from on high by Liam Vickers.
We got the coma patient you creeped on.
Not creepy, sweet! Peep this? I got you.
Golden retrievers have
Gentle mouths.
Goodbye, buddy. Execute.
So here we are. What are we to make about this shipping debate about N, V, and Uzi? Is it really all cut and dry? Has one ship already set sail, ending the love triangle? Well, it's a little bit more complicated than you might think. So let's talk character development and see what's really happening. Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. Now, there's a lot of emotional investment and headcanon interpretations when it comes to shipping. So that's what normally clouds our vision when it comes to the topic. When that happens, you have to step back and more clinically analyze the overall story. So when it comes to Murder Drones, if you strip away the shipping and headcanon stuff, what you are left with is a zany story full of death, teenage angst, and hilarious meta commentary twists. And when you step back even further and realize that, you have to even wonder if some of the heroes that we see in this show are not going to die before the end. Romance itself is largely treated as a joke and an uncomfortable part of growing up. Does that then mean that no one's going to get together? Well, aside from Khan and his doors, obviously.
Good door. Good door.
Well, Liam is building up the core relationships between NV and Uzi. That much is clear, but their interactions have been largely subjective to the audience. For instance, back in episode 4, when showing how Uzi took N's hand, he quickly let go. There were people that were saying that, well, because they interlocked fingers, this was the big step towards them subconsciously acknowledging their feelings for each other. Others said that because N quickly let go that, he didn't like Uzi that way. Others said that he was just so surprised that he had to let go of her. Others said that he was in the wrong headspace thanks to the zombie tape, that he just couldn't reciprocate her feelings. And when looking at all these arguments and more, this tells me that focusing on these different shipping moments and trying to interpret them, seeing what's happening with Uzi, N, and V, well, we're just going to get lost in a sea of prickly weeds. Instead, we need to analyze the characters, where they personally are, and if any of them are in a position to be in a romantic relationship. Let's begin with Uzi. She is a younger, smaller teenage drone, and Uzi's been going through a lot recently. Never mind the Absolute Solver program slowly turning her into a monster, but she's got a load of social baggage to deal with. For starters, her relationship with her father has been incredibly rocky, and getting abandoned to die in the first episode certainly hasn't done much for her self-esteem. Her teacher doesn't care about her, her classmates either don't know her or openly mock her. In effect, she is incredibly isolated. In a peculiar way, this made us, as the audience, subconsciously latch onto Thad in the opening episodes because he was the only drone in Uzi's colony to openly acknowledge her and treat her kindly. However, we haven't seen anything progress on that front since episode 2, because Thad has receded to the background and Uzi is spending more and more time with N. Now, N is undeniably a cute, good murder boy, which has attracted all kinds of girls to him, but Uzi is particularly stuck to him because N has been her first and best friend in the show. All their time together, combined with his actions on her behalf, it just makes sense that Uzi has fallen for N. And hey, a good friendship is certainly a healthy base to build a relationship on. However, Uzi is in no good place personally to start a romance. The reasons for that are as follows. First of all, she is going through a major personal crisis. Turning into a monster is kind of a big deal. Secondly, despite her self-aware in nature, she is incredibly immature and prone to making some pretty bad choices. And thirdly, Uzi has been in a confrontational relationship with V, which is a big problem because V is essentially a package deal with N. For a variety of reasons, the two murder drones just go together. And in V, Uzi sees everything that she hates. A girl who is taller than her, prettier than her, and more popular than her, despite being a homicidal maniac. The world is unfair and cruel, and from Uzi's point of view, that fits V to a T. At the heart of the matter is the fact that Uzi just doesn't have much experience with any relationship. That shouldn't disqualify her from getting together with N, but it does mean that Uzi has a lot of personal baggage to shed and a lot of internal obstacles to overcome. And because we at Camille's Harem support healthy fictional relationships, as well as real ones, this suggests to us that Uzi really needs to put in the legwork to improve herself as an individual and learn to have healthier communications before she can have a sustainable romantic partnership with N. Unless you're looking for some good vibrating action, then have at it with your fanfics. Now, if you think that Uzi has a lot of emotional unpacking to do, you don't understand V. And to break down her character, I'm going to rely on a brilliant breakdown by YouTuber Rainstorm Riddles, who has allowed me to quote them. So, quote, to start off, we have to look at where V is coming from. She grew up in a mansion where drones were actively abused, the masters having no problems offing servants that make mistakes, and furthermore, she is one of Tessa's rescue drones, putting her at an even lower status as well as meaning she's been disposed of before. She starts to form a bond with N, giving her small bits of positivity in a very poor home life. Then sin happens and takes control of her, making her helpless in her own body and using her to drag N to the same fate. She was a key tool for hurting the person she cared about most, and that left some serious trauma. As a disassembly drone, pre-Uzi, V is finally given a sense of control in her life, although it is an illusion she's actively denying. She's repressing all that happened in the past, effectively shutting down her emotions and leaving her feeling unstable. Think something like what happened to Riley in Inside Out. Her excessive violence is a small part of wanting to feel in control, and a big part of trying to push herself to her limit and feel something, anything to make her feel grounded, to feel like herself. But to fix how she feels requires facing what happened to her, and that's terrifying. She holds N at a distance and plays along with the illusion because with that, things are fine. Not good, but fine. Then episode 1 happens, and things get turned around on her. Jay is dead as far as she knows, N is suddenly against killing, and he's pushing her to open up about the past. Uzi is openly hostile towards her, clearly only keeping her alive for N, albeit chained up. V managed to break free, but then when N makes it clear that he doesn't want to just go back to the norm, she tries to find a middle ground, offering to only kill what is strictly necessary to sustain them. But she doesn't have to do this. She's already free. Then at the prom, V is put in a position she's never or rarely had. Positive attention. She doesn't know what to do with herself, and finally opts to test the water. Lizzie shows some level of sympathy towards V in her facial expressions, indicating that she had an idea of how tragic V really is. Uzi begrudgingly saves V and N, and thus V decides to play nice while focusing on the bigger threat of Doll. She tries to interact well with the workers and is actively resisting getting emotionally attached to her new friend Lizzie. Uzi's becoming a real threat at this point in episode 4, and one that resembles the cause of what happened to her in the past. V is scared of her, but isn't going to show it. She instead tries to intimidate Uzi, but then N stands up to her, makes his case very clear, and causes V to think. Then V is presented with an opportunity, one where she could get Uzi into a heap of trouble, but instead she takes the fall for Uzi's actions. Not for Uzi specifically, but because N cares about her. V, according to Rainstorm Riddles, is best girl because despite everything, she is actively trying to do what is best for N. She might be dead wrong about some things, like pushing him away to avoid risking severe loss again, but she is trying. She is an emotional mess and is in a really conflicting position. End quotes. Basically, we know now that there are definite feelings for N swirling around in V, but her part and her current situation make it very difficult from her perspective to act on them. That means if she wants to be romantic with N, she has to let go of so much, and she has to apologize to him. She has to make up for her actions and embrace the unknown by exploring her feelings. A really tall order for the show's most accomplished murderer. Finally, we need to address N's state of mind in all of this. It takes two to tango, and he is in many ways the linchpin to either girl's romantic bliss in this dark love triangle. But is he really in any better shape than either of them? The short answer is no. N has been through the same traumatic past as V. He was in an abusive household where his winning, naive personality was one of the few bright spots in the lives of his fellow drones and the lone human Tessa. However, he was used, manipulated, abused, and even left out to be murdered. On top of that, his friend Sin betrayed him and things got messy. We know that events didn't play out the way that we saw them play out in episode 5 because that was Uzi messing around with their memories. But N was present for when Sin went berserk, got his memories erased, and was then transformed into a monster. From there, N was sent to Copper 9 to commit murder and drink warm, sweet oil from his fellow drones to not die. He spent his days ignored by V, tormented by J, and N is like Uzi in that he was incredibly isolated, followed by being teased and tortured by glimpses of his past. N is someone who only recently has discovered real autonomy and is exploring who he himself is. With that adventure of personal introspection, N has realized that V isn't the perfect girl, and that the crush that he has had on for so long just is kind of bad. N is also trying to get a hold of what friendships are like. He's trying to be accepted by the worker drone colony. N is trying to figure out his past and come to terms with who and what he is. Just like the other characters, N is laboring under metric tons of personal baggage. Everything that Uzi and V are going through, he is as well. Other than Uzi being short. He can't relate to that anymore. He does have a far healthier approach than either girl.
Not like you killed anyone.
Oh, no, I definitely...
Kidding! Just avoid another whole spire. Baby steps. Together?
But that doesn't mean that N is okay either. There's a lot that he has to overcome and untie to become a better, more stable individual who could then progress to building and having a healthy romantic relationship. So, bringing everything together, when we look honestly at Murder Drone's core love triangle, we see that it is all messed up. If you want my opinion, as of the end of episode 5, none of these characters are ready to get into a relationship, especially if you want a cute, healthy one. But the pressing question is still, who will get together? Well, no one is exactly safe, so no one should count on any ship setting sail or having already set sail. However, the evidence is pointing strongly to N and V. This is because despite N realizing that V is messed up, he has never withdrawn his claim of having a crush on her in really any kind of way. And even though V complains that N always chooses Uzi's side, N and V continue to always work together. N has tied himself at the hip to her in many subtle ways, and V already gave herself away back in episode 1 with the wink that she gave to him and the way that she said his name when she wasn't even supposed to know who he was. V says that she and N can work together, can be together against everyone else. else. She also says that she is working for his good, even if that means that he'll later come on to hate her. And this all comes to a head when we see that past V had a connection with N and didn't want to lose him. As opposed to Nuzi, where Uzi's feelings and intentions are clearly romantic, and N is just happy to have a buddy, N and V are in an awkward dance of sharing and withholding their true feelings. It's far more mutual and less one-sided than what we see happening with Uzi and N. So again, what signs there are for us to pick up on, they're all pointing to N and V. However, I still wouldn't hang my hat on that just yet. Like I said, anything could happen. N might get killed or completely rebooted. N might pick up on Uzi's feelings and then completely reciprocate them. Tessa could kidnap him and run off with the cute guy. N could develop a harem, or Liam might decide that no endgame love is the best endgame for the whole story. The big message that fans and writers should take away from a critical analysis of the love triangle between N, V, and Uzi is that what matters most is who the characters are and where they are personally. Murder Drones is at its heart a wacky, semi-self-aware horror story exploring the dangers and consequences of character choices. Each episode is a homage to a specific horror story or subgenre within horror. Liam is having a blast playing around with this, but he knows that a good story lives or dies by its characters. He again is having a blast, therefore, by exploring creepy, quirky, mentally imbalanced characters who are trying to live like normal teenagers. Probably just like him trying to be a weirdo in a school and in an entertainment industry full of conformists and people clawing to be at the pinnacle of cool and hip. That is a story that can be told without any romance involved. But the romantic angle does allow Liam to explore these characters, their fears, their aspirations, and their quirks even further. The love triangle itself also helps us to piece together the many connections between the past and the present. And really, this is what a good romantic subplot is supposed to do. Not just get characters together, kissy kissy, but tell us more about them and explore more about the world that they inhabit. So there you have it, my almost too late review of the love triangle between N, Uzi, and V. And there's a good chance that episode 6 is going to sink some of this video's observations and claims. But that's just the nature of analyzing and reviewing a story as it is unfolding, rather than waiting for it to end. Now, as we wait for episode 6 to soon premiere, I'd love to hear your thoughts, your insights, and where you land in the shipping wars. And in the meantime, if you're a novice author looking for more advice, insights, analyses, and the likes, please check out our other videos or head on over to our podcast, Camille's Harem. We hope that you will join our growing community of novice authors, and if you would like to support what we do, please check out the books that we've published. Links for them and more are in the description below. Thank you for joining us on this adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.